Ever since the meteoric rise of World of Warcraft, members of the MMO community would weigh up new releases and made claims that this could be the WoW killer. Recently, there's been a building hype and anticipation for Amazon's first foray into the world of MMOs with their title, New World. And with the release this week, I've seen more and more those claiming that there being similarities, that this would be a game that could give the Elder Scrolls Online specifically some stiff competition. Could this be a release that could shake the foundations of Tamriel? Or just another hype train that's swiftly approaching a crash course? I'm Mitch Mannix, and today we take a look at, could New World kill the Elder Scrolls Online? It's become almost a meme at this point to claim that another title will swiftly demolish its competition, as from my experience, failed MMOs tend to handle that task quite effectively all by themselves. New World's release this week will bring a more fast-paced combat focus, as well as other elements ESO players enjoy, such as player housing and faction warfare. So we can see where the similarities are being drawn, but could it really be enough to kill off ZeniMax's offerings, even after a recent expansion launch? Let's take a look. It's worth bearing in mind when talking about the game's potential to extract the player base from another, that given the breadth of content in MMOs, not all players have the same preferences for what they spend the majority of their time doing. An endgame PvE player, on average, will spend far more time in trials than a hardcore trader and crafter. So for a title to truly dethrone another, it would have to cover a lot of those key content types and provide a long-lasting, on par, or higher quality alternative. This does not even take into account that players that sink thousands of hours into a game will have an attachment to their progress, along with friends and contacts that may not have made the leap with them to the shiny new MMO. This brings me to my first point around the honeymoon period with new massively multiplayer games. Although not experienced by everyone, a fair few players will be enamored by the new experience after playing so much of the same game for so long, and those first few weeks with the game are typically far more engaging and exciting to those taking the first steps. However, once the dust settles and the new car smell starts to fade, that is when a true comparison can be made, and potential negatives start to become clearer through the now far less rose-tinted glasses. I will say that there are some things working against ZeniMax in this face-off. First would be the performance of ESO, and to their credit, ZeniMax have even very recently made some big changes to improve the game in this department. It's not perfect, but better. However, it still may tempt those that sees Amazon's monolithic spending potential as well as its advantage of being a recent release and hedge bets on New World being more reliable with the performance end in the long run, especially for the larger player battles. ZeniMax were of course aware of the upcoming release of New World, and it would have been a perfect time to really knock it out of the park with the latest release of Blackwood. For me personally, although not a total failure, Blackwood didn't really hit the mark when compared to even previous expansions such as Elsewhere and Somerset, and from what I've seen, I'm not alone in this opinion, leaving players wanting more from the latest offering won't do them any favours with such hype around their new competition. Of course, there are as previously mentioned reasons for ESO players to be excited about New World, but what bears remembering is that there's also elements of New World that as it stands on release are not even close to being on the same standard as ESO, bringing me back to of course what your preference will be as an MMO player. The PvE content in New World over the past year has been implemented primarily in response to players' demand rather than being a key feature out the gate. And although I'm hugely impressed with how much they've thrown together so quickly, it does not begin to rival ESO's massive amount of PvE questlines, instances and trials. The player housing in New World comes with craftable furniture and bonuses, but hardly scratches the surface on the offering in ESO, only being able to own 3 at a time, and due to the aesthetic of New World, not able to give such a wide scope of design options due to ESO's lore-heavy fantasy focus. This brings me to another point on ESO's survival potential. The Elder Scrolls, since 1994, has built lore and worlds that have been incredibly well received. In regards to player base, they'll simply be those of us that love the Elder Scrolls and get a lot of enjoyment from our online space being set there. New World being new, of course, there's a potential for Amazon to build on the systems already in place, especially when it comes to the PvE content, so it'll be interesting in the next few years to see how the game develops, and if they do branch out to be a more widespread MMO experience over a slightly more narrowed down focus on player factions and PvP engagements. We've already seen the rapid response for more PvE content being requested, so its potential to evolve will be something to keep an eye on. On the other side of things, ESO has spent the past 7 years building up a wealth of content, and in some areas will remain the superior experience, at least until New World has some time to expand out into its areas of focus. So does New World offer enough to replace ESO on the first look? Well, that depends on what you're looking for, and how well those systems end up being in the endgame. For those of us that can't get enough large-scale player versus player action, New World looks set to be a fierce contender for that crown. For the crafters also, there's a large focus in Amazon's new title, and if that's your bag, could be well worth the time. But as far as killing ESO goes, a hugely popular franchise behind it, the sheer amount of character and the aesthetic, as well as some very well put together and worthwhile feature sets, will keep Sweet Rolls cooking for some time yet. So that was my quick look into New World's potential to kill off ESO. It always interests me seeing people claim that one title will kill another, especially when it comes to MMOs. Established user bases are harder to really shift in the long run than people think, and I personally think that New World will really appeal to a certain type of ESO player, while not really giving enough to others to justify the switch. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Are you playing New World? Is it ticking a lot of boxes for you as an MMO fan? Please give the video a like if you enjoyed chilling with me today, as it really helps out the channel. There are some other MMO vids on the screen if you're looking for more, and hit that sub button if you want to join the community and get the latest content. Huge thanks to any of you making it this far into the video. I love you all, and I'll see you guys in the next one.